What is good, everybody? Hello, hello. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. It's also known over here as Ask a Coach, or in this case, Ask Juliana, where I get questions from you all that you email and I come back around and I answer them here for the benefit of everybody. So today's question, here it is, was how do I know when to stay in a relationship and when to release it, right? And when to let it go. We have a very strong culture of the block ministry and throwing up ultimatums and all sorts of things. And a lot of times that can counter how we are really supposed to love other people and serve other people. So sometimes we get in our feelings, when we get offended, when we have unforgiveness in our heart, it can create confusion and make it difficult to answer a question like this. So today I thought what would be helpful is giving perspective about 3 types of people that come into our lives so that you can then bring this before God and have the peace to make the decision that you ultimately need to make in your life. So first type of person is the person who always makes it seem like you're too much, okay? And a lot of times these are people that are very close to us because, for the record, just like God sends relationships to bless us, the enemy will also send relationships to destroy us or to tear us down. We can have relationships that are productive, that are constructive, that are life-giving, that are building, and we can have relationships in our lives that are negative, that are destructive, and that take us years to actually recover from. Which one do you think God sends? Okay, so it's really important to be aware of that. And so sometimes a relationship in our life, we could be surrounded by people or in relationship with people that always make it seem like we're too much. And if we're not careful, we'll believe them. And so maybe we won't pursue after things like all of our heart because we don't want to be too big, or we don't want our pursuit to bother somebody. We want to please them instead. Or maybe we'll turn down our faith because they can't handle it, or they don't understand, or they think we're weird. Or maybe, some of the things that we're really disciplined about, they think are just too much because it threatens their way of life, right? So we have to be careful that the people around us that believe that we're too much, we really have to consider that, because if we aren't careful, that stuff can get into us. Whatever the opinions are, whatever the words are, that can get into us and start destroying our sense of ourself. It can mess with our identity and our security in our identity. And it can also mess with our destiny, right? And our ability to walk out what we're on the earth to do. So it's really important to recognize that, number one, there will be people that we will encounter in our lives that think that we're too much, okay? The next type of person is somebody who believes that nothing we do will ever be good enough. So they don't see us as a person as having destiny on our lives, but they see everything that we do is not enough. We could be truly gifted in an area, but they diminish that in some sort of way. Or we could really be called to this area and really making a ton of progress, but they won't support it, and they'll make us feel insecure about it. And this, again, is often people close to you. A really great example is family. A lot of times, if there is, a certain area that people are comfortable studying within the family, or a certain, set of standards that the family is accustomed with, and you go outside of that in any kind of way, you're not doing enough. You're supposed to do this. It's supposed to look like this. And even if you try to do this, you're never going to do it right. It's never going to be good enough, right? So it's really important to recognize that the first 2 types of people, you're going to have people in your life that say that you're too much, you're super weird, right? You're like too passionate, you're too organized, you're too disciplined, right? Like you don't ever let loose, right? You're too on all the time. Whatever that is, we got to be careful about not allowing other people to change our pursuit and what we're here to do. Number 2, we also have to be careful about the people that are kind of on the flip side, that are our betrayers in a sense, right? They'll come into our lives, usually very charming and very supportive, but eventually what they're doing is trying to tear down everything that we're about and make us feel insecure. And if we're not careful specifically with these types of people, we can start to believe the lies that they're telling us. We can start to internalize what they keep reinforcing in our lives. And that can really be destructive because it can be psychological warfare. It can really affect our mental and emotional health, particularly our spiritual health, if we're not activating spiritual warfare. It could just be intense if we really let somebody else tell us who we are. And that's really important. So these people will come into our lives and try to break us down in order to control us. You need to be able to recognize that. And lastly, the third type of person that you'll meet are your godsends. And like the title of this message, godsends are different. Godsends are people that absolutely, it's not going to be perfect. You'll still fight it out, right? But you'll come back to a place of alignment, okay? They'll just get you. The things that were too much for other people are going to be the very things that they enjoyed about you. The areas where, you felt like you were never enough and that come naturally, they're able to see you and support you in those areas. They're able to pray with you. They're able to bless you. They come into your life in a season where you can truly recognize that it's a godsend. They will require you to level up and to stretch and to grow. They will point you towards God. They will be somebody that you can build with, that you can grow with, that you can evolve with. These are your godsends. Now, it won't be, again, perfect, right? But it's going to be two people that recognize that I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, but we're going to continue to help each other grow in Christ likeness. And as iron sharpens iron, we're going to help each other build what we're here to build, right? So this could be a personal or an intimate relationship, a partner, a spouse. This could be somebody that you're building a business with. This could be your prayer partners. This could be people that you go into ministry with. It can be all sorts of people, but these are the people that you can safely share your heart and your dreams and your vision with. I would not recommend sharing them with the first two types of people. Now, when you have an example of these types of folks in your life, you will encounter them all. You may have already encountered them, or you may, right, encounter them as you continue your journey. But it is so important to exercise wisdom and discernment with who gets access to you and with who you connect to, okay? There's the quote, the saying in the world, right? You become like the 5 people that you surround yourself with. But really and truly, it's whoever can get to you, right? Whoever you can connect with has an opportunity to impact you for better or for worse, okay? So it's really important to be able to assess your relationships, because God is not the author of chaos and confusion. He's the author of peace. And so if you don't have peace about a relationship, that is really important then for you to bring that before God and ask, who is this, right? Did you send this person, or did the enemy send this person? Are you in this relationship? Is there a plan and a purpose for this relationship? Is this, just a season that is a little bit harder than most? Is this relationship being attacked? Would you have us come together and align and fight against this in some sort of way? What does this look like? And really get God's view of the relationship. I personally recommend doing this at the start of a relationship and throughout the relationships, honestly, because we can't navigate in our own strength and understanding, particularly in our relationships. And a lot of times the enemy wants to get to our heart. And the quickest way to do that is through relationships and who we're connected to, right? So we don't want to give the enemy any sort of foothold or any way that he can somehow kill, steal, or destroy what God is doing in our lives, right? And the right people actually help you walk out your call, walk out your assignment, walk out your purpose, walk out your destiny. And the wrong people can prevent you from doing that. So it's so important to be able to rightly evaluate and weigh your relationships, right? Are you called to mentor this person? Are you called to be a friend to this person? Is this relationship meant for your life? Are you meant to build with this person, right? Did God send this person? Is this person sent by the enemy? Like, what is going on here? And what are the results of my connection with this person? Am I growing in my relationship with God? Am I being pointed constantly to my relationship with God? Does this person see and value me for who I am and what I carry? Is this person bringing value to my life? Do I feel drained? Am I noticing that I'm starting to speak death and cursing over my life? Is my mind constantly consumed with questions right? And chaos and confusion? Do I feel like I'm losing my focus and I'm losing my passion? These are all things that wrong people will diminish you, right? And tear you down. And if you're not rooted and grounded, you might not recognize that and you might take their words as true, right? A lot of times relationships are where we create idols in our lives. Or on the same note, the people that think that you're too much, they might zap your energy too, because you might try to conform to the way they want you to be. And what are you missing out in conforming? You can't be a people pleaser and a God pleaser at the same time. So both the people that think that you're too much and the people that think that you're never enough, they're not God sent. And that's really important to know. So for the sake of this question, how do you know when to release a relationship, right? Or when to keep fighting? This is a very fine line to balance. But I think even from my own life and from what I've seen, I need to have that answer from God. Okay, so I will give you an example. There was absolutely a season in my life. I've had all these people in my life. All right, so there was absolutely a season in my life where I was noticing that I was trying to start dulling my shine, dulling my energy, dulling my excitement, my enthusiasm, my passion, right? Because I am one of those people that wakes up, energizes, and goes after what I'm here to go after. I'm somebody that lives with vision and with passion and with purpose, right? And so I had been around some people, particularly around, high school and college years, people that just wanted to, cut loose and drink and party and not focus, right? But because I was so purpose driven, I couldn't partner with that, right? And it led to a lot of, boundaries that I had to learn to keep in my life, because I was going somewhere and these people couldn't run with me to where I was going. And it was really important that I recognize that, because the tendency could have been to start partnering with that and start believing what they said. You know what? I do deserve to kind of, pull back, or maybe I shouldn't be too much of this, or maybe I don't need to have this figured out right now, or maybe I shouldn't pursue that because this is more important right now because it matters to that person, right? So that's an example of that. I had someone in another season who very much presented this person in my life, presented as somebody who was very much for me, somebody who, was sent into my life, for the long term, so to speak. But I started to notice very early on that things were not right. But I wanted this to be somebody that could stay in my life, right? And so I wanted to ignore red flags. I wanted to ignore the nudges and the things that I was picking up on, spiritually speaking, right? That were not right? That this wasn't a godsend, that this person was not a blessing, that this person was not before me, that this person was like a Judas in my midst. This person was literally like a spirit of Leviathan, right? That was moving slowly to try to choke me, right? This was somebody that definitely tore down what I'm passionate about and what I'm here to do. This is somebody that couldn't see how I'm gifted and how I'm wired, and started to speak darkness and negativity over the things that I was invested in and the risks that I was taking. This is somebody that did not celebrate some major wins that I stepped into when I was connected to them. And it just became very destructive. This person kept a lot of secrets from me. They would smile in my face and be lying and cheating behind my back. It was just not good. And it led to a lot of heartbreak and a lot of healing, right? But God restores the years. So even if you have a similar story, God can restore those years, but you have to be able to turn that over. And it just shows, right, that the wrong people can present in some kind of way that you get sucked into whatever they're saying, right? And it can start to destroy your confidence, your self-esteem, your vibrance, right? And it can take a lot of time to heal from if God did not send it. Now, in comparison, I had another person that was absolutely sent by God, right? But this relationship was hard. This relationship was fought, okay? And this relationship had a lot of turbulence in the beginning. There was a lot of things that were coming against the relationship. And this one was one where I absolutely sought God on in the beginning. I received many prophetic words about, and I believe that was important to actually encounter in the beginning, because it's what strengthened and stretched and grew the relationship when different attacks came, right? But there was a difference between a godsend and somebody that was here, basically saying that I was not enough, right? There was a big difference. So it's not that it's not challenging. There wasn't confusion. Anytime that I would bring it before the Lord, I would get peace, or I would get a fighting strategy, a spiritual strategy, right? Or I would get wisdom for how to show up and how to really walk out the relationship. So it's really important to be able to assess, again, the different types of people that are in your life, and then also to really be clear on, did you receive wisdom? Did you receive revelation? Did you get direction from God on this? Because a lot of times you do need to tune out and turn down the other voices and opinions of man so that you can make the right decision. I will say that if this relationship is destructive, like if it's pulling you away from God, it's not of God. I will say that if it is destroying you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? Like consistently, there's patterns of that just will not change no matter how you change, that these are not good signs. And one of the best ways is to just create space and to start exercising boundaries. Maybe you don't need to throw up an ultimatum immediately. A lot of times that can be a cop-out. It is definitely not if there's abuse involved, so I don't want to minimize that. But a lot of times we do just cut people off. We throw off ultimatums. We block people when something is challenging us or confronting something in us that we don't want to look like, because sometimes we're the problem. So if you've already done the assessment on if there's some things that you do need to change, or if there's different things going on that you're not doing your part, then maybe that would be the first place to start. Then I would also say getting some counseling is also a great thing, so that you have a safe space to be downloading and working through whatever's going on with you. That's another way to unpack what's happening before you make a decision. So I would create distance if that's safe to do so. And then also give yourself a timeline to really be able to make a decision. Sometimes we just need to detox. We need to detox from the opinions of man, from, all of the information that we're seeking, and just create space to hear from God. And then once we get that word from God, that's what you obey. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's not clear, that's what you can move forward on. So that would be the wisdom that I have to offer you, is really pay attention to the people that are in your life and how those relationships are evolving and operating. They might not even be evolving. Okay. So it's really important to be able to assess that. And then it's also important to recognize that God is not the author of chaos and confusion. So if you're constantly living in that and you're seeing, any sort of change, then it's time to make a change yourself. So if you are making those changes and nothing is changing around you, then it's very important to hear from God in that situation, to know, are you going to continue to fight, right? And what does that look like, so that you can stay committed to that, right? Or is this time to separate because God actually did not send this person and this is not a God send, okay? Because God sends will be different, 100%. All right, humans. I hope this message blessed you. I hope it was helpful. If you do have a question, I will put information below where you're able to email me, and I will come back through after I sift through a lot and see about answering that. If we can get to it, we absolutely will. And then if you want to connect with me or get access to different resources, you can visit julianapage.com. I do actually have 2 new books that came out this month. One is called Stepping into Royalty. The other one is called Rule and Reign, the Faith Walker Manual. So both of those are available on the website and also on Amazon.com. All right, guys, if you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you could. Like this video. If it blessed you, you can also copy the link and share it with a friend. Until next time, stay blessed.